Hi, I'm Marshall Hughes, and welcome to the Logistics Technology Decision Making Mind Map. This is episode 5. We're going to talk a little bit about which technology. If you've seen the other 4 videos, you know what this is all about. I've put together the decisions and the areas you need to look at when deciding whether or not to implement technology in the logistics field. Overall, there's 12 videos taking you through all the different stages. The goal being that you make good decisions, or at least consider all the options, reduce the risk, and everyone goes home nice and happy. As always, I'm available at askmarsh.com. If you want to catch up for a chat, happy to do a free 1 hour strategy session. Look at your company and the challenges you're facing. Today's video looking broadly at which technology. This isn't going to be a guide to technology. I'm not going to explain everything. Just give you an idea of some of the areas you need to be aware of when you're looking, and some of the challenges perhaps and the questions that we should be asking. So broadly speaking, technology, we can start with software, and we can start with 2 areas. For example, here we've got cloud and local. Local means installed and completely run on a device or a server or some computers or some device locally to you. Cloud means it's not really everywhere. Cloud just means it's stored somewhere else. And typically advantages of cloud might be accessibility to everyone in the organization to the same database at the same period of time. Challenges around cloud might be the fact there might be some latency or slowness. As you talk to two, you become very dependent upon internet speeds, connectivity. In Australia, that might involve the national broadband network, might involve 4G or 5G technology. Just some areas to look at and to be aware, the advantages and disadvantages of going local or cloud, and different strokes for different businesses at different times. And even the same technology might be a hybrid of the two as well. From a mobile point of view, you've got your obvious players of iOS, which is the Apple ecosystem. So iPhone, iPad, Macintosh computers, Safari browser, for example. Then you've got the Android ecosystem, which is your Google type phones. And there's more vendors than I can count who are releasing technology in that area. Interesting, for example, one contrast between the two is there's pretty much just one iOS. Apple maintains really, really strict control over that. You may be running an older version of iOS, but it's still Apple hardware and Apple technology. Now, Android's a little bit of an open market. Different versions of Samsung Android phone will run differently to a Google Android phone. There'll be changes for the human experience, the part that you have to deal with on that. And especially then if you're looking at apps, are the apps on both? Are they on one? Were they written for one and then developed for the other? That can get pretty confusing. The other option, obviously, is also the mobile web. So everyone gets the same experience because it's running in a little browser on the phone. Advantages and disadvantages in all, different percentages, different markets, different costs because you make these decisions. So Android might be cheaper for you to develop for, but then there might be a bigger hardware cost. iOS might be the other way around as well. So talking about hardware, one of the things we need to look at is whose hardware are we going to use? You may have heard of bring your own device, or BYOD. That's exactly what it sounds. Every person, whether they be a contractor, employer, driver, whoever, uses their own hardware to do these, to run your business. There's advantages and disadvantages in that about not having to care where it comes from, or really having to care where it comes from. Big security concerns perhaps around it. But depending on what you're doing, this is where the compromise comes in. And then the alternative to bring your own device is that you, as the company, control the hardware. So you procure it, you service it, you supply it, you maintain the security, you control what goes on it and whatever else. Going between the two, there's obvious costs involved in running your own hardware, just as there are with bringing your own device. There's costs involved in the maintenance, in the ongoing insurance. What happens with the device? Whose device is it? What happens if it gets lost? What else are they running on it? The capability, then it becomes your responsibility to make sure that your hardware or your things work the way they should. Safety and security is a big thing. How do you stop your hardware going to someone who you don't want to have your hardware? Are there child issues around it and whatever else? It can get quite complex. So this is more, it's almost it's a technology discussion, but it's also a cultural and a philosophical discussion about what do we want to be as a company. And again, some of the people who are reading this or listening to this will be company owned, works for them, and that's fine. Others will be bring your own device and works for them. You might even have a hybrid. But it's important that when you're looking at the technology you're going to deploy, you make decisions about this and what is best for our company if we roll this out. And just finally, in which technology, one really critical thing to look at is the age of the platform or the age of the so-called ecosystem you're going to be involved in. Microsoft, give an example, has been around. It's been around for a while. So we know it's been around for a while. It's probably going to be there for a while. Microsoft is a multinational corporation, probably too big to fail in the short term. So there's different pros and cons around dealing with someone that's established, huge, and a big multinational. Even now, Google could be considered an established company, been around for 20 years, although some of the technology they're rolling out is quite new, which is the same. So just looking at the age of those ones, do you go with the long established, long term, probably maybe safer option, or do you look at some new things like the new startups? Do you look at the cutting edge technology, things that are out there right now? You are going to hear the buzzword about AI, artificial intelligence. We've got to be really, really, really wary about that. It's not what it sounds like. You may also, depending on who you're talking to, hear things like predictive algorithms. You may hear rules engine, learning, heuristic, etc., etc., etc. So when you're looking at these, the more cutting edge stuff and whatever else, really to be wary and be able to put that through a BS detector to figure out whether this is really something like that or whether it's just, a new jacket on some old technology. So platform age, there's no rule that says an old platform is better than a new platform, or a new platform is always better than an old platform. It's what comes down as what's fit for your purpose, what's better for your organization, where are you going, and what are you going to be doing? Some of the areas we need to look at. So which technology? Quick one to talk about. It may end up being, as we go through the process, the one we spend the longest time on, but that just depends on the company and the challenges you're facing. Thank you very much for listening. This has been the Logistics Technology Mind Map, episode 5. I'm Marshall, and if you want to do a free strategy session, talk about the challenges in your business, you can hit me up at askmarsh.com. Look forward to talking to you soon. See ya.